are having a wonderful day so far. So you've been hearing from a bunch of other members of the community, and they're telling you why your contributions are important, and I'm sure you know it's to help the symphony, and it's to help the kids and students like me. And I wanted to show you all from my perspective why the Guild and youth orchestras are just really so important. So these days when you flip on the radio, or at least when I do, I know exactly what I'm going to hear. I'm going to hear Kesha and T-Pain and all these rappers tell me how much they love their little shouties. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I love that music too. About half the songs on my iPod are songs that have appeared in the top 10 in the past few years. But there's that other half of the songs that most people my age wouldn't dare listen to. And it's not because they're bad or boring, it's just because when kids my age turn on the radio, it's not what they hear, unless of course the radio turns to 89.9. But when they go to buy music, it's not in the top 10, and their friends don't talk about it. Well, as we know, it's classical music, and that's why we're all here. And it's an important part of our culture that's fading away because of our youth's ignorance about it, and it's our job to restore it to its former glory. Now, when I volunteered for the musical petting zoo, I see all of these children just having the time of their lives playing on these instruments, from the flute to the snare drum. And yes, Annie, I think you should have a snare drum. So I was looking at some statistics online from the Guild website, and I did a little number crunching myself. I see that it said that in the past year alone, 3,600 kids have experienced the petting zoo. So I thought, what if only 1 out of every 40 of these kids were to actually continue? And that's a small amount, just 1/40th. But if 1/40th decided to take lessons and pursue that instrument they tried, then that would be enough people, 90 people, to fill the entire youth orchestra roster for 1 year. And speaking of music lessons, of course, the Guild has given over $180,000 worth of scholarships to help families afford music lessons. Now, I play in the Charlotte Symphony Guild of Charlotte, and I've played in the group for 2 years now. Hopefully, I'll be around for a third, but I don't find out how my audition went until the 16th. So before that, I played in the junior youth orchestra, and I remember they were dire need of percussionists, so they called me in, and I joined in the middle of the second part of the season. And I had no idea what to expect when I came into the orchestra. I played with the school band before, but it's totally different, and I was really nervous because I'd seen orchestras play before. If I went to a symphony concert, but I've never played with one. So as soon as I stepped in the room, the symphony sheet music for Jupiter from the planets was just thrust into my hand. And I just stared at the page so blankly because it was so much more difficult than anything I'd ever seen before, and I just didn't even know where to start. I just blanked all the technique, didn't remember how to tune the drums, even hold a pair of sticks. So, long story short, I stepped up to the timpani and failed miserably. I remember being so convinced that Dr. Pereira, the conductor, would kick me out before the mid-rehearsal break because I was already in tears. And though the rehearsal was rough, I stayed in the group, though there was lots of stern direction from the conductor that year. While I was in the JYU, I really learned so much. For example, when someone was talking about their viola, I just looked at them and said, "What's a viola?" Prior to being in the symphony, I had been trying to compose some music on the piano. And after being in the symphonies for a couple of years, I learned so much about all these different instruments. I'd made instant friendships with everyone from string players to woodwind players. So I decided to start doing an orchestral composition, and I'm still working on it. The only reason I was able to learn all of this and get this far is because of the Guild's tireless moral and financial support. Now, as I'm sure you all know, the Guild sponsors the annual summer camp for the CSYO at Converse College, spending a week away from home and rehearsing nonstop. It's really an amazing experience. Just in that week alone, I learned so much. Playing with a more advanced group, I was learning percussion technique from our coach, and I was hearing and performing all different types of music, from Franck to Williams and from Berlioz to Bach. My first time attending the camp in 9th grade, I remember hearing Sarah Sullivan play the flute, and she played Concertino by Schamann. And I was really just enchanted by that wonderful, colorful sound that I heard, that I had to try it for myself. So I went on the internet and purchased a used flute for $80 and taught myself how to play it. So it's a lot different because the snare drum isn't exactly an instrument of colorful beauty. So I can't play the flute that well because I haven't had a lot of time to practice, but I can play some basic scales and songs. And see, the musical petting zoo experience never stopped for me. Even though I'm a percussionist, I wanted to try something different that I experienced at the camp, which is sponsored by the Guild. And just to put some numbers, the Guild pays $30,000 to $35,000 a year to pay for all the kids and coaches to attend camp. It's a lot of money, but it's a really worthwhile contribution to youth orchestras. So by supporting the Guild, you're opening up this new world of orchestra and instruments to people like me. But it really doesn't stop there, because I and other members of Youth Symphony, we talk about our experiences and our instruments with our friends, and hopefully they'll become interested, and if not interested, at least educated, and so on and so forth. And for an example, just earlier this year, I had 5 or 6 of my friends attend one of my youth orchestra concerts when we were playing Romeo and Juliet Overture. And none of those kids, none of my friends, played a single musical instrument, and none had a single classical track on their iPod. But after the concert, they came up to me and they were saying, "Whoa, that was so cool." One of my friends was mimicking me playing the big timbal at the end of the song, and it felt wonderful. And they all said that they wanted to know the rest of the year's concerts so they could attend more. Just like that, their friend in the youth orchestra mesmerized them. And that's why the orchestras are so important. It's not so much for the kids like me playing in them, but it's for you guys in the audience, children's, parents, teens, moms, dads, and everyone, because seeing someone you know play in the orchestra can really help you connect on a more personal level with the music that you're hearing. So the Guild is bringing classical music to people who never thought they would ever be attending a symphony concert, and certainly never enjoying it. Thank you all so much for your strong support to make this possible, and I hope that you all will continue to support the Guild as we move forward, opening up this world of orchestral music to a new generation. Thank you all so much for having me.